My name is Wimshurst. I was the project architect on the centre. I work for Rogers, Stirk, Harbour and Partners. And the idea of the Maggie Centre was that Maggie Jenks got cancer and then realised very quickly that within the actual hospital environment you got given this terrible news. You got given this terrible news by a doctor, and then suddenly you were just released back into a corridor, and you'd just been given this life-threatening news about what was going to happen to you, and suddenly there was no support. You had to try. You didn't know what to do. You were basically having to try and put your whole life back together again. They worked with the hospital, and the hospital gave up this corner site. It's a very, very difficult part of London. Just because you have the very overpowering, you can hear the noise in the background of the Fulham Palace Road as you're going through it. You have the A&E entrance on one side, you have two car parks, you have a 20-storey, a very overpowering building of the Charing Cross, which sort of looms over the site. And so in this sort of very small corner, it was to try and create a little oasis. One of the big things we noticed when up in Edinburgh was the fact that it often takes 3 or 4 times for somebody to actually come into the building, because by coming into the building means that you actually wake up to, or you have to acknowledge the fact that you have cancer. And so we have a bench outside the front which looks directly, which you can sit on, where lots of other people from the hospital actually come and sit as well. So it's a very public space. But it means that you can also see directly into the heart of the building. You get a view through the picture window right into the heart of the building, into the kitchen table. And so you can gain that feeling, and it's that when you feel ready, you can come in and actually engage with the building. As soon as you come in, you see the kitchen counter as you come in, and there's also a real fire as well, which gives it not only, it's all dealing with as many sort of sensual aspect as well. So you've got the smell of wood smoke, you've also got the fact of bringing lots of gardens opening up, so you come into a double height space. But it's also finding the correct sort of size, the correct niche for you, whether you want to be very, very open and sit on the kitchen table and talk with lots of people, or whether you want to be very sort of very withdrawn. You can find your own little nook or cranny to actually go and tuck yourself into. The wrapping wall, which is also is enclosing itself off from the outside world. We've lifted the roof, so you have this floating roof above it to allow both light in and also to be very selective about the views. It was very important to get that feeling of the roof floating above the wall, so that as you're walking past, you're seeing this warm underbelly of something warm in the heart of the building, and as it floats out, the reason why we've created it at quite a large scale is also it cuts off views of the hospital as well, and overpowering views of the 20-storey tower that is beside it, and so it keeps everybody's views very much on the ground plane rather than feeling that, and so once again shelters you like almost an umbrella. The big things about the colour is that it's not trying to, cancer is something that shouldn't be not talked about. It's something that you're actually out there, and the more people talk about it, the less of a bad word it becomes. And so by having a very distinctive marker for the corner of the site in a very prominent position, it's very obvious what the building is. It's basically saying that it's something not to be shied away from. As far as being able to find the building, it's quite easy as a landmark to be able to find an orange building on the corner. It's also wonderful to see that by people viewing the building, how much of an influence the building can have, and be much more humane than quite a lot of the buildings that have been built for health over the recent years.